There's a way that the regional plan update, the land use policies, the regulations for the basin, the way that they can be used as an incentive to create an economic lever to encourage the revitalization and around transportation that we're talking about. So think about the land use patterns the way we always had them before. It was a car-centric world. Our town centers here at Tahoe were built on a flat, one-story, with a lot of coverage, huge parking lots built back away from the street. What that does is it sends a message that you're supposed to drive here. So if this property owner were to redevelop under the regional plan update, then what we would ask for primarily is a smaller footprint, because we need to reduce coverage for water quality. So they need we'd like to see a smaller footprint in this town center, but also we want them to move the development closer up to the street to like engage the pedestrian access along the frontage here. So that's kind of step one, but in order to do that, they really need to be able to go up higher. They need to take the floor area that they had on the bottom and they need to put it up on the second floor. So we're actually talking about minimum height requirements, not maximum height requirements in the commercial centers. You're actually saying if you redevelop that you need to have 2 stories now. Because another concept in Complete Streets is mixed uses, like trying to bring mixed uses in so that there's more than just retail here. There's also a dentist office, there's also a hotel, and there's also maybe affordable housing for the workforce that actually works in the building there. So units of use being residential units of use. So we need to provide economic incentives. So the regional plan update, we have allocations in the regional plan pool that we can give to a property owner to incentivize, create incentives, economic incentives for them to actually do a lot of this kind of redevelopment. We get a lot of water quality benefits of it. But when you start thinking about the land use patterns, how spread out we always were and how we always really developed in the wrong places. We built on 75% of Lake Tahoe's marshes. 3/4 of Lake Tahoe's marshes are gone, okay? We have buildings, industrial complexes built right up on the stream. So to try and get those, and we also have like, sprawling residential communities far, far out from town centers where everybody has to drive from those areas. So when you think about trying to get that level of environmental redevelopment, that level of environmental improvement, these property owners would need to buy a house, tear it down, restore it, and transfer it in to get that. So what the regional plan update is considering, it's analyzing a lot of alternatives, but a couple of them would actually give someone 3 units of use to that one. So they would get 3 additional units of use for transferring that one in. And likewise, if a neighboring property were to redevelop, same thing, reduced footprint, smaller amount of coverage, more open space for water quality, better parking in the rear, better street design, closer together, infill, getting these uses close together so that people want to walk from one to the other. But if they were to transfer in a unit of use from an outlying residential area, same thing. The regional plan allocation pool could potentially offer them 3 additional units of use. So this is where we're talking about economic incentives essentially for redevelopment. Now in all communities around the lake, we're always worried about community design, and that's why most recently, TRPA has been trying to say that the local community should write the plans that dictate height, what kind of uses go on at the parcel level. Within the sideboards of, you can't go over a certain height, so this would be a typical tree. It's about a 120-foot tree. We would say you can't go above the tree canopy, and then whatever height the local community really decides is appropriate for their community, and can kind of get those environmental achievements, then that's what should go. So we're trying to kind of get ourselves back to the regional level and just check off local plans for conformance. So when you talk about South Shore maybe having 4.5, 5-story buildings in some areas, that may be appropriate down there, but we recognize that that's not appropriate for all the communities around the lake. But also it's just really important to keep in mind for a scale that nobody's talking about high-rises here. When we talk about infill and like multiple stories and minimum heights, nobody's talking about high-rise buildings. And in fact, there are a lot of significant architectural designs, that can really help reduce the scenic impact, reduce the visual impact of a lot of these uses. You can step buildings back a little bit away from the street so that they're not quite so imposing on the street level or from the lake. All of those are in the toolkit, but what the Regional Transportation Plan and the RPU, the Regional Plan Update, are doing together is trying to find ways that we can encourage a different land use pattern at Lake Tahoe and how we can just remake our town centers.